Hey, what up, everybody? Steve Breach coming to you today. Not much wrestling news to talk to you about for the last few days with WWE being overseas and everything like that on their Japan tour. But there's two things that in mainstream, life, people keep coming up to me and asking me about. One is the reality show. I guess it's a fishing show for Eric Young of TNA, which I haven't had a chance to see. But honestly, a day hasn't gone by. Somebody hasn't come up to me and asked me about what kind of a wrestler Eric Young was, and if he was still on TV where they could watch him. I guess people are really entertained by his TV show. And the second thing is, I'm getting more of the ladies that I work with, the older crowd, coming up to me and talking about was the celebrity wife swap of Roddy Piper and Ric Flair, which I was finally able to sit down and watch yesterday. And I'm honestly really glad that I did. I was a last-minute thing that I was going to record on my DVR. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet, I've heard that it's on demand through most cable companies. It's not Netflix. It's on the other one. It's on Hulu. If you have Hulu Plus, you can look it up and watch it on there. If not, it's on YouTube on a channel called Episode King, and you can find it on there. It was pretty easy to find by me just by typing Piper Flair wife swap in the search box up above. They have the full episode up there, all 42 minutes. And this is a show that honestly, I recorded it and I let it sit on there from Sunday all the way until Friday for the one reason was I wasn't 100% really sure that I wanted to watch this. I walked away from it very, very glad that I honestly did. Ric Flair, in my mind, is honestly one of the best celebrity actors of all time. The whole gimmick of all the celebrity, or all these, any kind of reality shows is that they film you do your real life stuff, and then they film you do these sort of cut-ins, and you're supposed to do a little promo of what you were actually thinking at that time and going over the moment in case you weren't really able to catch it. You can sort of get the way that they were feeling at that time. And honestly, who's better than doing these little promos than Roddy Piper and Ric Flair? Ric Flair is honestly one of the worst reality star actors of all time, but he was so bad that it was so good that I wanted to see it in almost any other thing. Put him on, fucking Survivor or Big Brother or something like that. He would make that show, and you wouldn't even have to know that he was a wrestling guy to be on there. Also going from there, maybe even give him his own show. You can bring back, if WWE Network ever gets off the ground, bring back a Flair for the Gold and just have the real-life Ric Flair reality show based off of this with him. And, it's called Wife Swap, but they're not married, I don't think. They called him his girlfriend. It's from WCW back in the day, whatever the maid's name was, Mimi or Fifi. Her real name was Wendy, and that's what they used for most of the show. When the show kicked off, I found it kind of funny that WWE gave them a lot of footage to use, making Flair and Piper look like huge stars from the 80s. You got to see, Piper smacking Jimmy Snuka with the coconut, Flair holding up the WWE Championship, and just looking like $1 million. The only picture they found of fucking Fifi, or whatever her name was some low-down, rundown indie show with about 10 people in the background. I don't know if that was sort of a dig on her, or maybe WWE just doesn't really have any footage of her that made her look good at all. But the show opened with a big WWE package showing the whole the banner that opens up Monday Night Raw and SmackDown and everything like that. So I'm sure that they got some sort of last edit rights to there in case Piper or Flair just got run down drunk on the show or something like that. They wouldn't be looking like they were total goofballs on the show, but they came off looking pretty good. The Piper family lives up on the mountain up in Portland. I think everybody knows the story. If you don't, from Piper's book, the reason why they live there, and also pretty much why the Hogans lived down in Florida, was that Vince McMahon sort of came to them as they were the big stars back in the day, and he wanted both of those guys to base their family and live up in Connecticut, where he lives. So if he ever needed them on the fly, he would be able to get them. Both of them were really smart, and they were able to move as far as the way they can because, if you live in Florida or if you live in Oregon, McMahon can call all day long, but, basically if you live in the same neighborhood, McMahon, if he needs you bad enough, is just going to show up on your doorstep and pull you out of your house to go over and do some freaking promos for some house show that he's trying to boost some tickets up for. So basically, Piper moved his family out there to be as far away as possible. Piper lives his life the same way he lived it back in the day. His wife Kitty does all the chores. She does all the maintaining around the house, takes care of all the animals on the farm. Makes all the food, washes all the dishes, takes the trash out, this, that, the other. Piper just brings the money home, daddy, by working all the independent shows. Ric Flair and his wife Wendy, on the other hand, who live in Charlotte, she doesn't do shit. He doesn't do shit. They have housekeepers that they pay $51,000 a year for. They have a nanny that lives in-house. They have this, they have that. Basically, she doesn't cook, she doesn't clean, she doesn't do anything. All they do is they hit the town and they act like Ric Flair. And, Ric Flair throws that money around like no tomorrow. On the other hand, Piper and their family claims that they don't really spend any of their money if it's not on their house or their kids. They don't really go out and do anything lavishly. So the whole gimmick of the show is they do one day living like normal when they flip-flop. Wendy, who was living with the Pipers, had to make meatloaf, and basically it just was low down, horrible. She didn't know what the fuck she was doing. When it came out, it looked all right. It didn't really look like meatloaf, but once it was actually put on the plate, it looked all right. But the family was acting like they didn't want no part of this. Over at the Flair household, Flair took Kitty out on the town. And he was Ric Flair to the nines. He was throwing around money, buying drinks for everybody, walking around, taking pictures, kissing babies, signing autographs. And Kitty actually felt like she was there all alone because Flair, really ditched her to live it up on the town. They came home, and that was the one thing that she said she had to change, was that you couldn't have Flair going out and acting like that because, his wife probably doesn't want to be going out to, Ric Flair. She wants to be going out with whatever his real name is, Richard. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. But so she takes him out the next day where she's going to live life her way. And she dresses up Ric Flair in a hat and sunglasses and puts this fake freaking mustache on him that's all bent off to the side. That looks like she cut out of a, construction paper or something. This is one of the worst mustaches of all time. He has to go to the grocery store and buy a ham. And she basically finds out that the Flairs are spending $200 a night to go out on dinner for them and their family. And she goes out and she spends $30 and she buys 3 meals for the Flairs to eat over the next 3 days. So she's going to save him a shitload of money. She has the family step up to the table that don't normally do anything. There's 3 girls and 1 boy that lives with Ric Flair. I was really surprised that Ric Flair would want to settle down with them, because you would think at his age he wants to move on with his life and wouldn't want the kids all running around the house and everything like that. But honestly, the one thing is, I think Rick feels bad that he was gone all the time, and he was a wrestler, and I think he wants to settle down with his family and make it its own and try to make up for what happened with Reed and David and whatever the daughter's name was back in the day that he wasn't able to be around. So I could probably see, Rick, besides for not really, doing anything with the kids, but being around, I think him would probably be a pretty good dad. Wendy, on the other hand, she's out with the Pipers. She's like, you guys don't ever do anything. We got to go out on the town and we got to spend some money. We got to be a family and, treat your wife like she's, supposed to be treated. So it takes her out on the town. They go out to go buy some dresses and some clothes. They go shopping. They spend $2,000 at the spa on manicures and pedicures. And Piper's doing it, but you can tell he's not having that much fun. He's trying to drink orange juice while he's in his chair, and he can't really drink it down. But once they bring the families together to sit in one house and talk over how everything went. Everything went pretty smooth. Piper, is trying to tell Flair to spend more time at home, and it overall was a pretty good show. You could tell that Piper was really worried about Ric Flair. Ric Flair was trying to tell him he ain't going to settle down because he's Ric Flair, and he's going to live his life to the 9. I think there's been 1,000 times we've had close scares with Ric Flair with heart attacks and blood clots and all sorts of things like that. I honestly think that Flair's probably going to live until 1,000 because we keep wondering when he is going to finally pass on. It would be funny that the guys that we worry about so much live forever, and the guys that seem like they're worth $1 million just kink over and die on us someday. But honestly, go out of your way to watch this show. It was awesome. I don't know if I would ever watch it again, but I was awfully glad that I did check this out. So make sure you go out of your way. It's worth it to see the Flair freaking mustache and him buying that ham. That was the highlight of the show for me. Have fun, everybody. Hopefully we get some good wrestling news to talk about soon. Peace out.